Irish reunification, the Brexit solution?
I do believe that given the vote that has been taken by English voters, effectively dragging ourselves in Scotland out of the European Union, that we do have a right to test opinion.
Many people believe that the best way to solve the problems created by leaving the European Union and also sharing a land border that cannot be a hard border is to simply give up that border in Northern Ireland and let the country reunify itself with the Republic of Ireland. And it is perfectly possible under the Good Friday Agreement. However, not everybody agrees. The Good Friday Agreement says that the government must recognise that it is for the people of the island of Ireland alone, by agreement between the two parts, respective and without external impediment, to exercise their right of self determination on the basis of consent, freely and concurrently given, north and south, to bring about a united Ireland. If that is their wish, accepting that this right must be achieved and exercised with and subject to the agreement and consent of a majority of the people of Northern Ireland, which means that to unite the island of Ireland, a majority of Northern Irish citizens have to want it. It cannot be forced on them. It has to be a vote because it's the only way to be clear that there's a majority, and the vote or referendum has to be carried out by agreement of the two parts. Then, whatever the result, the British and Irish governments have to carry out the wish of the people of Northern Ireland impartially and without prejudice. Northern Ireland doesn't have to join the Republic of Ireland. So let's examine every possible relationship Northern Ireland could have with both the UK and the Republic of Ireland. First, we have to make the distinction between self governance or independence, in which the territory is not dependent on a governing authority, and autonomy, in which an overseeing authority devolves power to a region. Northern Ireland is autonomous because the UK devolves a lot of decision making to its own parliament, but Northern Ireland is not independent because it's still governed by UK wide law. The UK in the EU is independent because it can make up its own constitution, but it's not completely autonomous because it follows EU trade rules. To be completely independent and autonomous would require a country with enough natural resources to completely cut trade ties with the rest of the world to be self dependent, such as China was during the Chinese Empire. In today's world, the UK and Ireland require oil, metals, technology, and all the factories and people to run them, which other countries can do better because of where they are, how big they are, and how much it costs to pay people. But that doesn't mean the islands of Great Britain or Ireland can't get rich. They simply just need to create trade deals and set up business in the parts of the world where these resources are, and where the local governments will be happy to give away resources in return for the creation of employment and investments, such as in Africa. So let's make a scale where complete independence and complete autonomy are at one end. Autonomy, but without independence, is somewhere in the middle, and complete dependence is on the right. Northern Ireland is currently somewhere in the middle with the devolved parts of the rest of the UK. Now, if the UK were to leave both the customs union and single market after Brexit, it would make the UK more autonomous than it is now. But the entire UK is not going to do that under the withdrawal agreement because of the Irish backstop. Instead, Northern Ireland will be staying within single market access, and the rest of the UK will be in a customs territory. Therefore, both splitting the UK and Northern Ireland's autonomy and moving the UK closer to less autonomy because we wouldn't have a say in the customs rules which are governed by the EU and which would apply under the Irish backstop. This would do two things. It would betray the reason why many people voted for Brexit and break up the United Kingdom. If Northern Ireland were to completely reunify with the Republic of Ireland, then they would move closer to less autonomy than they currently are now, because the Republic of Ireland is within the eurozone. They use the euro for currency, but they're not in the Schengen zone, the zone where you don't need a passport to cross a border. Being reliant on a foreign currency as the currency you trade in as a country means that you are automatically backed up by strong economies like Germany or France. You can enjoy lower interest rates because of the demand by traders to trade with so many nations, and that can boost foreign investment. But Northern Ireland, as part of the Eurozone, would lose control over its monetary and physical policies. They lose control as part of Britain to print money and therefore lose control of inflation by not being able to raise interest rates or limit money supply. Under EU trade rules, Northern Ireland, like the Republic of Ireland, would also have to keep their annual budget deficits less than 3% of their gross domestic products, and their debt to GDP ratio must be less than 60%. But it's worth remembering the Republic of Ireland also gets all the benefits of being an EU member. The Republic of Ireland receives €1.818 billion from the EU. That compares to €4.57 billion the UK got in 2017. Ireland paid €1.777 billion into the EU, while the UK paid €14.84 billion. That's including the rebate. So the UK loses more money from being a member of the EU than Ireland, who actually gained a little in 2017. Because the rest of the UK does not share a land border with the EU, they could, if they wanted to, go as far autonomous in trade law as they wanted to. If the UK left the single market and customs union completely, it would then have to create a border on the island of Ireland, as I explained in my last video. The biggest question facing the UK is whether it prefers the union of the United Kingdom or the autonomy of its peoples. Sinn Féin wants Northern Ireland to have a special status within the EU and remain in both the single market and customs union. If they were to remain a devolved nation of the UK, and the UK wanted to be more autonomous, then it would break up the union. But if they left the EU and remained in the single market and customs union, they would have less autonomy than they have now because they won't be able to have a say in the laws imposed upon them, and likewise the rest of the UK would follow suit if it joined them. Under the withdrawal agreement, this still applies. Because of the difficulties the Irish backstop creates in staying in a customs territory and having single market access in Northern Ireland. And even under Labour's plans for the entire UK to remain in a customs union, this would apply to a lesser extent. Of course, where the UK government really wants to be is outside both the single market and customs union together. But this could mean a hard border in Northern Ireland, and it goes round and round in circles. If full autonomy and not breaking up the UK is the goal of Brexit, then the only options are to leave both the customs union and single market and hope the Republic of Ireland and the EU will back down and allow the UK an open border or find a more technical solution in the interests of national security. But if not breaking up the UK takes priority over full autonomy, then the only options are anything from softer forms of Brexit, which mean remaining in the customs union and single market, to completely remaining in the EU completely. If full autonomy takes priority over breaking up the UK, then anything from creating a border down the Irish Sea to complete Irish reunification are the solutions. But the dilemma here is that what if the 44.2% of Northern Irish Leave voters, and even the Remainers as well, don't want Brexit to mean they have to either face a hard border or force the UK into no Brexit, or be forced to vote on the reunification of Northern Ireland just to solve Brexit? Maybe they just want to stay as part of the UK regardless. In the 2017 election, only 41.1% of votes went towards nationalist parties, the SDLP and Sinn Féin. That's parties that want to reunify Northern Ireland with the Republic of Ireland. That was despite the Brexit vote and despite the growing case for a reunited Ireland. Irish reunification will create a number of problems for the Republic of Ireland. Firstly, despite the result of the referendum, there will be a number of Irish unionists who do not like the result and will not be helpful towards the Irish government's overall political goals, as the SNP are here in the UK. Secondly, Irish debt makes up 68% of GDP. It's 87.7% of GDP in the UK. So Northern Irish Unionist constituencies would still be asking for the kind of money they used to get from the UK government that the Republic of Ireland wouldn't be able to give them, because Irish GDP is 333.7 billion US dollars, while UK GDP is 2.622 trillion US dollars. A disunited Republic of Ireland threatens both the eurozone and single markets. In 2017, the UK exported £34 billion from Ireland and imports £21.8 billion. So the Republic of Ireland got £12.1 billion worth more from the UK than we got back from them. Without an open border with the UK in Northern Ireland, then the UK has every opportunity to cease trading with Ireland. And without Northern Ireland, the UK could fully leave both the customs union and single market, therefore create border checks in goods and people in whatever the UK created laws against. That would lead to an economically and politically disgruntled Ireland, which neither the UK nor the Republic of Ireland want. It would not help eradicate nationalist or unionist terrorism in both countries, and it would not help trading with the rest of the EU. Which is why Irish reunification as a solution to Brexit probably won't happen. But do you agree with me? Join in the debate below and subscribe.